Welcome, my witches, ghosts, and werewolves.
And goblins.
Oh, and goblins, I like that. Welcome to that one time I was abducted by aliens. My name's Jamie.
My name's Brie, and we're two sides of the coin.
Heyo.
Ayo.
Well, Brie, it's almost Halloween.
Yeah.
Almost Halloween. We should, even before we start, apologize to everyone that it's taken so long to get our third podcast out. This is going to be the fourth one we're recording. But we were partying super hard all weekend for my birthday.
Yeah, Jamie is old.
Yep. 28. Half my life's over. Or all I can hope.
Damn. Whatever. We're still young and fabulous.
Still young and fabulous. So we're recording today. Because we were partying so much, we absolutely did.
We had so much fun, though.
We did have so much fun. We're definitely going to talk about aliens, don't worry. But we're also going to talk about Halloween.
The best time of year is Halloween.
It's the most wonderful
It's the best month, actually.
I agree.
It's not even my birthday. It's the best month.
Brie's birthday is next month on the 15th. Mine was this month on the 15th.
Yeah. Coming down to it.
I know.
But still, it's the best time of the year.
She's also old.
Getting there. This is a bigger birthday, I feel like.
And how old is it this year?
27.
Ooh. Almost there. Almost to 30.
See, when I turned 25, everyone said, "You're old now. Can you believe a quarter of a century?" Nothing hit me. I was like, it's another day.
At 27, you're like, ooh, I'm getting up there.
For some reason, now 27, I'm like, okay, it is officially late 20s.
Okay, late 20s now, yeah.
Climbing up the 30 ladder.
Yeah, I agree.
Which still isn't even old.
I basically say I'm 30 now. I'm like, I'm 30.
I'm almost retired.
Yeah, it's almost, like I said, my life's halfway over.
Yeah, but still, I never really cared that much about age. I think because I've met some people that are old and they're not mature whatsoever, and they, don't understand the simple things in life, and vice versa. I've met really young people that seem to be...
Have shit figured out.
The old souls. The ones that know.
I'm definitely an old soul. I like to go to bed at 9:30.
Hey, I mean...
I like to eat with the old people at the buffets.
I want the early risers.
Every
in the
day.
morning, let's go.
5 a.m. every fucking day, man.
What do you want to do? Let's do it.
All right, Brie. So why don't you tell me about Halloween? Why don't you tell me first why Halloween's your favorite holiday?
Halloween's my favorite holiday because I feel like it brings in colder weather. Even though here in California, usually it's always hot on Halloween.
Just always hot.
But then it'll be Halloween night. It usually rains.
Gets a little chilly.
No, it usually rains though.
I don't know.
We haven't seen a drop of rain. On Halloween night, it'll rain.
Weather manipulation?
Who knows? But it's
possible.
BS because you think, man, you can't even go to the pumpkin patch without sweating, and then Halloween comes.
Yeah, I went to the pumpkin patch. I got a sweet gray pumpkin.
Cute.
And it was just way too much.
So, I love it because of the weather. I love it for all the decorations. I think I would have Halloween decorations every day of the year. I like the black.
And what spiritually does Halloween mean to you?
To me, it feels like a witchy time, where it's almost like it's more accepted to be a little bit witchy.
But it's not, because it's the opposite. Because back then, if you were witchy,
right,
they hung you.
Or they burned you?
Yes and no. Actually, so technically, this might be the Mandela effect, a little throwback from last episode. But I was watching something on YouTube about witches, and they were saying that, the majority of them were from hanging. Not maybe one or two people at, the Salem witch trials were burned at the stake.
That was it?
And but for some reason, that's the thing that sticks in people's memory. But everyone they hung them all.
That's horrible, too, though. What's worse?
Some of them were from drowning.
Oh, God.
Well, because they'd put them in that chair and dunk them under the water.
That's horrible.
And then be like, if you survive this, then you're a witch. So they're basically, putting you to death, and if you were innocent, they were like, oh, well, I guess she was innocent.
That's horrible.
Oh, no, I can't say her, because men, too, were...
Were they? I never heard about that.
Yeah, men were.
Voila.
I think the man that... the one dude who was burned at the stake was a dude. It wasn't even a chick.
That's horrible.
I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on it.
It's in our culture, we just assume we burned all the witches.
I think because that sounds better, especially for fictional writings and movies and things like that.
True.
Or talking about it, that definitely gets your attention more than just hanging someone.
Yeah, because it sounds horrible.
So I'm sure that's why people associate it with that. But again, not a lot. no one, maybe
So,
one or
yeah.
two people.
So yeah, we used to be horrible, and I guess we hung lots of people for being witchy.
Oh my god, our whole life we've hung people for no reason.
You know, I listened to this really cool past life regression, and when this girl went back to her past life, she was one of the past lives that she went back to. She was, I guess you could say, a witch. Mm-hmm. She was a healer. Mm-hmm. And so in her recall of, walking through the entire snippet of that life, she had healed someone's child that was sick. And so the whole town wanted her to heal them, and she didn't know what she did. It sounded like she didn't know that she was a natural healer, and she had that one instance. And then because she couldn't do it again, and she was like telling people, I have no idea, that then they were just labeling her a witch. And then they hit her in the back of the head, and she died.
That sounds about right.
And it was sad because it was like some of her family and stuff in her little group had something to do with it. And that's so scary. And they like took her baby from her.
Well, I know that, back in those times, why a lot of people got labeled as witches and were hung and stuff were over some of the dumbest reasons. It was like somebody who didn't like their neighbor. And so to get rid of them would label them as a witch and would make their kids pretend that,
Itchy.
someone was haunting them. And a lot of kids themselves made up these crazy elaborate stories for literally no reason whatsoever.
And then people died.
And then people died because of it, yeah.
And it like
Just
launched
remember,
hysteria.
people, this is your past. These are your goddamn ancestors. Remember that. Remember that. We all came from this shit.
That's true. And that's why I think there's a lot of like it's embedded in us. I think still. I definitely feel that some people that are afraid to be ridiculed, I'll just put it out there, like myself, sometimes like afraid to be...
Say what you want to say because you're afraid of...
I wonder if it goes back to past lives. Same with that girl, like maybe I was in a lifetime. I mean, I would be open to doing a regression, but you never know where those fears come from. Mm-hmm. Could you imagine?
No, I can't even.
Of course, if you were a witch burned at the stake, then you're not automatically going to come out and be like...
These are my opinions, and this is what I think.
Yeah.
I agree. I understand what you're saying.
But now, every day, it's just like, who gives a
shit?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit, guys? All right, so we love witches. We're big witchy people. I think that witches are real and not real. I don't really know.
I think the pagan thing is pretty cool.
Well, I think that people underestimate the mind and the things the mind can do.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, somebody's can do actual magic with their brain, like telepathy and or teleport things or whatever. But I definitely think that people underestimates the brain's power. You think of placebos, and they give placebos to control groups. And then people in the group thinking that they're taking some medicine act a certain way. Your mind can definitely trick you and do things to you. So I think a lot of these maybe witches or people who are like that were just, people whose minds were doing things, their brain capacity was more than ours. What is it? We use 30% of our brain, and maybe they had that 31%, and they were just a little bit more out there, the psychics of the world and stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely believe in telepathy for sure, and I think the more that you practice it, and especially when you're close to someone, I think you're more easily you can pick up on that. I definitely agree with how strong the brain is, most definitely. And I think what it might come down to is whether or not if you believe you can.
No, and that's really what a big part of it is. A lot of these people who get miraculously healed of diseases and stuff, I genuinely think a lot of the time it's because, their brain, the people around you are, quote unquote praying and, crying over you and stuff, and then at some point, maybe your desperate mind goes to, God, quote unquote, God made me better, but really it was just your mind telling yourself that you had to get over it, subconsciously.
Yeah, if you really believed it, you could, which also goes back to the placebo effect. I think it's actually called epigenetics.
Is that what the...
I think it's an actual scientific study, and it's called study, whatever, and it's called epigenetics, because they're really proving, though, that if you believe, like 100%, you make your mind, I mean, you can just restore your body pretty much.
Well, it's like a lot of things with, like, so say, lie detector tests. So lie detector tests not as admissible in court because they don't really mean anything, but people who they could be telling you a bold-faced fucking lie, but if they genuinely believe it, they're going to pass that lie detector test.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the many reasons lie detectors aren't admissible in court is because you can really just convince yourself of some shit that you didn't do something or did do something, and you could say it in all honesty, and your mind thinks that.
Right.
Whether it's true or not, your mind thinks it.
Again, right, with humans being the worst testimonials.
Oh God, eyewitness testimony, the worst thing in the world, because our minds are just so crazy.
Yeah, but that's what's really cool, though. We don't know how powerful we are.
No, absolutely not. And I think a lot of the times the people who were whose minds are a little bit more powerful are the people inside of history who have kind of been like shunned and given labels like witches and stuff like that. You know, like psychics and gypsies and people who are just a lot, I guess, more spiritually conscious and on a completely different brain wave than the rest of us. People just, you know, patronize them immediately.
Yeah, I definitely think that everyone across the board can have the same power, but some people are born with it a little bit stronger, or like their veil when they come in isn't as heavy, so they're more open or naturally receptive to all that. And who knows, it could be because maybe in their past life they were extremely judgmental. Maybe they didn't believe in psychics and they thought it was all bullshit and they did something, and then in this life they're going to need to be a psychic and have it full blown and deal with all the other people in their life giving them a hard time, telling them that, you know, they're liars or they're bullshit, just so that they gain the experience.
Yeah, just so you learn from it. Yeah, that's definitely, I believe in the whole reincarnation thing where we have to learn, you know, a lot of lessons before we move on. That's why we're on this prison earth, learning our lessons before we go out.
God. Before we go out and fly around the rest of the cosmos.
Right, the rest of the cosmos. So, Bree,
It's like grade school.
what's your beliefs on psychics? What's your...
Psychics are legit. It's that simple. I definitely have my own things going on. I think you do too. And I think
Absolutely.
I consider it as a muscle, and the more that you practice it, the stronger it gets.
I definitely have realized within the last probably 2 years of my life, my psychicness getting stronger. I mean, just the stupidest things. Like, I think of something right before it happens, and that exact thing happens. Like,
right.
And it's like this weird deja vu when it happens. It's so fucking strange. Like, I can just look at something and, like, let it be like a blinking sign on a road, and I just be like, I bet you that says beans. And then it says beans, and I'm like, how did I even guess that? Like, that doesn't make sense why I would know that, you know? There's a lot of instances like that. Or, like, just a lot of things people do or say, it's weird, I picture it in my head, and then it happens, and I'm like, oh, why? It's such a weird feeling to me. It's not like I can do it, like, on demand. Like, somebody can't be like, what are the lottery numbers? And I'm gonna be like, oh, they're this, and this. It's just weird. Like, and it always happens right before something happens. I see it happening, and then it does, and I'm like, what the hell?
Like a quick premonition.
Just super quick, yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, I think that even a lot of people, they do it without knowing that they're doing it.
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
Sometimes people are like, oh, no, I don't believe that. But, you know, how you just said, well, sometimes, like, you just know things. You see it right before. And I think that happens to a lot of people, but they don't take that into consideration. They just think, oh, that was a coincidence. Or I just guessed. Or,
No, okay, so my most psychic time I've ever had in my life is I had a friend named Cicely who lives up in Washington. And she was sitting on my kitchen counter one day, and I walked into the house, and I looked at her, and I said, you're pregnant. And she's like, what? And I was like, you're pregnant. She's like, well, I came over here to tell you that. Thanks for ruining the surprise. And I was like, oh, sorry. And just instinctively I knew her sitting there, like something just told me to say that. I didn't think about it. It just came out of my mouth. And then I was just looking at her there, and I was like, you're going to have a boy. And she's like, you're funny, Jamie. And I was like, I think you're going to have him, like, on my birthday. Like, I think that's what's going to happen. And she's like, no, that's not going to happen. A few months went by, found out she's having a boy. Gets to the end of her pregnancy. I think she had her son the day after my birthday.
Close enough.
Like, it was either super late at night or early in the morning, one of the two, where it was like barely.
Just missed it.
Mm-hmm. And I just, it's so weird that just months out like that. And I was just compelled to say it. I I didn't think about it. I didn't have a premonition. I just looked at her and I said all those things.
It's just a knowing.
Yeah, and it was just like, the information came through me.
And that's what it is. I think everything is information. It's just a matter if you can tap into it.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes I think it's your state of being. Like if you're just super chill and you don't have maybe a lot of stress, you're not distracted, and you can just slip in
but
and
I also
into
think
it.
that it also happens sometimes when you least expect it. It's like it's
True.
not when you're trying to do it. It just comes out of you and you're like, what the fuck was that? Mm-hmm. Definitely.
All the time. Or sometimes I see something and I'll have a thought and it'll be, this happens all the time. So let's say I'm about to leave the house and I lightly glance over and something random. It could be like my phone charger, okay? I never bring my phone charger anyway because my phone is always charged. I do it overnight. Anyways, just an example. Let's say before I leave, I glance at my phone charger and I should bring it. And I think I never need it and I leave. Later on in the day, something will happen and I'll be like, why didn't I bring my cell phone charger? Mm-hmm. And that happens with the littlest things and all the time. It's like I'll see something or I'll think something for a second and think I don't need it or it has nothing to do with my day. And then later on in the day, I will need it, or it will have something to do with it. So
that happens to me, but mine's the opposite. I'll do something so dumb, like I never bring my cell phone charger to work. And then I do that same thing where I happen to glance at it, and I'm like, and I just grab it, and I don't even think about it, and then I'm at work, and I need my fucking charger.
Well, now I have learned my lesson. It has happened so much that
if it comes across your mind, you just do it?
Always. But now I have too much shit with me.
I know, your goddamn suitcase.
So now my new motto all the time, it's like, it's better to bring than not to bring. Because
it's true.
If I look at it and it jumps out to me, I'll just bring it and I'll need it.
I agree.
And it's like little things, you know.
Little teeny things.
Yeah. And then so it's just natural. I think happens to a lot of people, and they don't take it into consideration.
No, I think a lot of people just chalk it up to coincidence and don't really
And I think with psychics, if you're going to a psychic, you really have to almost like use your own
energy
to feel it out. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes you get a feeling like, no, this person is, like, they're coming from a good place. They actually, like, you feel welcome with them. And then there's other psychics where you can you really have to use your own discernment.
Yes.
And, like you said, your own energy to, like, tap into theirs and feel like, are they coming from a good place? Is this...
Well, so perfect example is Friday night we went to a haunted house, and there was people doing tarot cards and palm readings there. And this lady, like, called me over to her little booth and was like, the cards need to talk to you. It's only $20. And I looked at her and I was like, oh, I do my own tarot card readings, but thank you. And she was like so shocked and appalled, like, oh. And it just made me think, like, if the universe really had something to tell me, you would tell me it. You wouldn't, I wouldn't have to pay you money. Mm-hmm. Nothing like that. Mm-hmm.
Like, if you really felt like you needed to deliver someone a message, you would just do it. If you're coming from the right place, you will just give it to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially for $20.
That's like Maya. So she comes over all the time, and I do her tarot cards all the time. And she's always like, oh, Jamie, your readings are so good. I'm like, it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me. I am literally just the person facilitating it.
Yeah.
It's all your energy, your thoughts, your questions, and the universe giving you your answers. I'm just the person who's laying them in front of you. Don't thank me, thank yourself.
Yeah. And so I understand that obviously if that's their job that they need to get paid, and there's a right way to do that, but
I don't think in that setting.
And another thing that I've heard of, and thank God this has not happened to me yet, is that someone will come after you, kind of like that, but be more like, oh my God, there's someone put a hex on you, or someone has a spell on you.
And you have to buy these candles to do this.
Or you have to pay me this amount of money to release this from you.
So I've had that happen to me before.
Really?
So when I was living in Washington, I lived in Tacoma on 6th Ave, and there was like some type of fair going on, and there was these, psychics inside this little booth, and they called me over and they were like, we have to talk to you. And so they kind of sort of did a reading about me. She was like looking at my palm, and I told her, I was like, I don't have any money. I'm not going to give you any money. I don't know what to tell you. So if you don't want to continue this, don't. And she was like, no, I have to tell you things. And I don't remember what it is she told me. It had something to do with like somebody I was dating at the time or something like that. And then at the end of it, she was like, well, in order to fix this situation, you need to buy these candles from me. You know what I mean? So it kind of just made the whole point mute to me, because it was like,
You're like, wait a second.
I'm like, okay, you tell me all these things, and then you tell me the only way to fix it is if I buy these plain white candles from you for $800. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
And then she goes on some crazy thing about have to light one every 4 hours inside of a swamp with the lights down. Like, so specific. Yeah, so specific. It was crazy. She's like, or you could just pay me $100 and I'll do it for you. And I was just like, oh my goodness, these people are just so swindlers sometimes. So I think you genuinely have to be a little bit careful with people when they're coming at you with that kind of stuff. There's definitely a genuine side and a not genuine side.
Oh, for sure. It's all about getting, like, feeling people out. And so, like, when we went to Alien Con, the second lady that I let give me a reading was like, remember I was done and I was just like, no. Mm-hmm. I was just so... She just rubbed me the wrong way. And I just felt like her information was false. And that's normal, too. I understand that a psychic isn't, like, going to always have a definite one way, this is what it is set in stone, because obviously anything can change.
Absolutely.
Different timelines, all that kind of shit.
I don't know.
What the fuck is that?
I think that's cork. There's cork in my wine, guys.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it looks like smashed olives or something.
It's so gross. I got a chunk of it. It's okay. Anyways, guys.
That's actually good luck if you drink the cork.
Well, I did drink some, so yay for me.
Anyway, she just, the whole vibe I was getting from her was sort of the same thing, like she just wanted more money. And she wasn't really telling me too much information. What she was saying was so vague. There were such blanket statements that I felt like she wasn't taking the time to read me. All she kept saying was, you need to come back for one of my seminars. You need to come back when I have one of these groups. And, oh, I'm the only one. That's another, like, big red flag if people are like, I'm the only one that talks to angels. So her whole thing was, only she talks to angels. And if I want to hear from the angels, I have to go through her because she's the only one that is, like, divine. And she comes from this great Christian family. And she was blessed from God. And I just got the vibe that she was just pushing on me, that it was like her way or the highway.
Yeah.
Like, you needed to go through her. And plus what she told me, I was just like, no, that does not resonate with me whatsoever.
So then why don't you, on the flip side, though, talk about the other lady that we saw at Alien Con?
I will. And I'll throw in there that sometimes I think if you don't trust your own information enough, that you might be put in a situation where almost like you're forced to. Mm-hmm. So, since we were there, and I'll talk about the first reading I had, which was great, but then, of course, then when I saw the second woman, I sort of jumped at it. And I think it's like you have to, of course, getting a reading from another person is excellent, especially when maybe you aren't always tuning in to what you need to hear, or you just need someone to kind of like bounce it back to you. Mm-hmm. But if you're desperate, and maybe in that moment I felt like I needed information from someone, and it just kind of proved to me like, no, when she told me something and I felt, no, that's not right, it was like I was using my own discernment. I was trusting my own information enough to know when to turn someone else's information away.
Absolutely.
So the first girl, she was awesome.
She does aura readings, is that correct?
It's their chakra.
Chakra readings, there we go.
She does a whole bunch of stuff, but her name is Elizabeth April.
Yeah, look at her up on YouTube. She has a lot of great YouTubes.
Yeah, you can find her on YouTube. She also has a website. Maybe I can try to look at it.
We'll put it in a link somewhere, yeah.
But she's really great, so we walked by her.
Well, let's backstory. It's me, Bree, and Joshy Poo all at Alien Con last year for mine and Bree's birthday around the same time, Halloween time.
Yeah, it was Halloween weekend.
It was Halloween weekend, yeah. And so it was in Santa Clara at the convention center. We met a lot of great people. Shout out to you guys. And Bree walked up to this table.
And I was like, I wanted a reading. And you and Josh said no.
Yeah, me and Josh were both like, whatever, Bree, like, go ahead and do it, whatever.
No, at first I'm like, please, and Josh was like, no.
No, and I was like, the same way. I was like, no, I'm not giving people money.
You guys were like, if you really want to waste your money on, like, some bullshit, go for it.
Yeah.
And we're walking, and I'm like, I have to.
Yeah.
So we went back, and you guys were like, oh my God, rolling your eyes. So she's like... it's like a drawing of the human body, just the outline on a paper.
And all the different chakras. And
she says, actually, she drew this chakras in, so they weren't even in there.
Maybe not. Maybe they weren't.
I kept mine.
Yeah, and mine's on my wall. And she had this huge, like box full of all these, like, chalks that you draw with.
Yeah, different colors. Yeah. So she says just write your name on this paper. You don't even have to be here. You could walk away.
Yeah, she just meditates for a second.
She just says, like, I just need your permission. So by you writing your name, like your first and last name on your page, it's like you're giving her the permission to read for you. And I remember that even when I did that, I know for sure, Josh, I don't know you too, but I think maybe you as well were like, are you serious? Like, this is such bullshit.
No, yeah, both of us
you
were
could
like,
walk away.
Yeah.
All she wants you to do is write your name.
Yeah,
like,
we thought it
that's
was so
such
dumb.
bullshit.
Yeah, we thought it was so dumb.
She's like, come back in, 5 minutes or
And
whatever.
we didn't end up coming back. We ended up just staying there.
I'm just watching.
And she, like, meditated for a little bit, and then she kind of got up and just kind of, like, started grabbing colors and, like, drawing these crazy circles and waves and boxes.
And splittings of... Obviously, each color she used was different for your chakras. So then she starts telling you, like, what does this mean? So she's doing a chakra reading for you. So she's saying...
Like, this yellow line means this, or
Right.
this circle means this, and, she's like, this is what you have going on with you, like, your third eye is blocked, or, whatever it was that she said for you.
Yeah, but everything that she said for me was so right on.
So spot on. And me and Josh are watching this, and we're both, like, looking like, oh my god, this is, like, Brianna to a T. Like, to a T.
Yeah, almost to the point where you're just like, wow. I wasn't expecting to be that open, like, for me to be so open. Like,
that somebody got all that,
read
yeah.
all of that, yeah. And that was like, oh my god. I wish I keep saying, oh, I need to go back online and, like, schedule a
reading
with
her.
her. Just because I thought that was really cool. So, and again, sometimes you just need someone else to say it to you.
Well, and then after that happened, Josh was like, all right,
so then
fine.
Josh goes, okay, fine, me
I'll get
too.
mine.
And Josh's was straight on too.
To a T.
And
To
I
a T.
swear, I don't know if he would admit this, but I swear, I feel like I was looking at him from the side when she was reading, and I feel like maybe his eyes might have even, like, watered a little bit, and I think it's that feeling
Because it resonated with him.
It's so
yeah.
deep in you, and you feel like, how did that?
He was like, how's this bitch know about this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so Jamie's like, fuck, okay, me too, I want one too.
Oh man, and the first thing that girl did was drew this giant green, like, semicircle around the entire body before going in and filling anything else. And when she gets done, she looks at me, and the first thing she says is, you have a huge masculine energy surrounding you.
And we just start
And we just start
laughing.
dying, because that's exactly, I've been described that my whole life. Everyone always says that I'm super masculine and that I have a very masculine personality.
We're just like,
And we were
dying.
like, and I didn't say a fucking word to this chick.
You didn't tell her any information.
Nothing. And she just immediately, the first thing, and that's the one thing people always firstly say about me. So we were dying laughing. It was like, how?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I knew immediately everything else she was going to say was going to be true, because I was like,
And that was what's so cool is when you hear something and it's like, oh my god, that's me. And then when you hear it from 2 other people that you know, and all of that's true about them too. And all of ours were very different.
So different.
It wasn't like we all had the same things going on, and it
didn't-
was just like across the board.
It definitely didn't feel like, a lot of these people do very generic about it. Oh, your third eye. Oh, you need to open your heart chakra. Oh, you're
Right.
not grounded. And it's so, like, you could throw that out to anyone. It would be like, hers were so specific to what it is as we were, that it was crazy.
Yeah, she couldn't have, like, let's say she couldn't have said what she said about you and put it on my drawing.
No, not at all.
Like, it was so
different.
personalized.
Yeah.
And again, we didn't say anything to her. We didn't even walk up and just start talking.
No, nothing.
We just walked up and said, yeah, we'll do it. So we didn't give her any bits.
And then she told us
whatsoever.
what aliens we come from.
Oh, our simultaneous lives. So I'm Pleiadian.
Josh was
Anunnaki.
Anunnaki, and I don't remember what mine was.
You were a Zeta.
A
You were
Zeta, a white Zeta. That's what it is. And she's like, this is really rare and obscure, but you're a white Zeta.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, sure.
I was like, oh my god.
That's because I am rare and white.
Oh, that makes sense. Exactly. Yes, she is.
So white.
Yeah, and so that was really awesome.
That was a
still
really good
exciting.
experience. And we're going to Alien Con next year, guys. We've already bought our tickets.
Yeah.
$600 each.
Pretty much, but we got gold passes.
We got gold passes.
So we're not trying to fuck around with trying to find seating.
No, we have guaranteed seating. We have the dinner with the people.
Do we?
Yeah.
We might.
We do.
Sick.
And then we get all the swag for free too. The t-shirt, the bag.
Yeah, so hopefully by the time we get there, we should have t-shirts.
And we're planning it for next year.
Yeah, and we're hoping that other people buy their tickets. I've been meaning to hit up the UFO bros.
I've already talked to them. They already said they're going. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they already said they're going.
Oh, nice. And then what about our friends from last year?
I emailed one of them.
Did he for sure say he's going to come?
I know he didn't for sure, but I definitely told him about it. He didn't say, he was like, oh my God, I'm buying tickets right now. But he definitely was like, what? Because it's right down the street from him. Last year at Alien Con, we met these two dope dudes. They were brothers, and we hung out with them almost the whole time we were there.
We really did.
We would save couches for each other and drink.
Yeah, it was like Friends, how they all hang out at the same couch. That was like us.
No, it was definitely us at that thing.
For sure. And it was so much fun, and I'm bummed that it isn't this Halloween weekend like it was last year.
Yeah, they took a really long time to do it. It's like a 2-year break in between, and that sucks.
Seriously.
And we're going, in June?
We're going in June.
To Pasadena.
To Pasadena, which is going to be beautiful.
It'll be
nice to be there.
It'll be hot.
It's hot.
We'll be inside, California. Though. Hopefully this year, too, they have it a lot more figured out.
Oh, I'm sure they do, since they're taking extra time.
Last year was a little bit of a shit show. It was their first one ever. So they they didn't think as many people were going to come. They ended up selling out. They had to rush to change rooms because there was too many people in line.
That was horrible. We were just standing there dying for 2 hours just to watch something.
And then we couldn't watch it. And they'd move you to 8 different places. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, and we almost got in so many fights with people. Because people would get so mad, because I'd be waiting in line and then Brie and Josh would be doing something and they'd come meet me and they're like, the back of the line's over there. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been sitting here and these are my friends. That's the whole point of me sitting here. People would try to start shit.
We're 2 people. We're not a freaking family.
Yeah, I know.
And that reminds me that I remember that exact instance that you're talking about, that there was this creepy guy walking around with all this anti-alien shit.
Oh, I remember.
And he was basically they're terrorists. Mm-hmm. They're not your friends. We need to boycott them. We shouldn't be here learning about them, celebrating their existence. I remember he was passing stuff out, basically that they're human killers. And I thought that was so mad. There's always got to be someone on the extreme crazy side.
Of either side.
Yeah. It's like the psycho Christians that hang out and they have signs and it's God hates fags. That's pretty much what he was doing, but Same for thing. Aliens. Yeah. Aliens are gonna kill you. Why the fuck are you here?
Well, and I thought that, honestly, that was kind of the wrong place for him to even be protesting that. Because Alien Con is a lot more commercial than it is spiritual. And it has a lot more to do with, the movies and the culture. And
right, but that's why he was there. Because he thought, why do you guys think this is cool? They want to eat your brains.
Why do you think Jesus is cool?
Because he walks on water. That's what I would ask him. He makes water into wine.
So can aliens.
That's the best party buddy.
So can aliens.
We don't know that.
How?
Because I've yet to have a cup full of wine.
That
from
you remember.
A fantastic alien.
That you remember.
That just slid in. I was like, oh, I have no wine.
That you remember. Who knows? Maybe you've been abducted 8 million times, and every time you go, you just have a really good wine and cheese party with them.
Damn, then I could at least live with those memories.
God, I would love to keep those memories if that's really what happened.
That would be awesome.
I wonder if grapes grow on other planets. What if they have something like wine, but it's way different?
It's lime green.
Maybe.
Sparkly. So that's funny. Okay, so you're wondering if there's grapes on other planets. And I'm wondering if for Halloween, if aliens have the same types of holidays.
Probably not.
But why not?
But if they did, that'd be cool. And what do you think aliens dress up as?
I don't know, but they're bound to have their own traditions.
I mean, I would imagine, I would assume that, that's hard to say because so us as a culture celebrate things because of the seasons changing and there's a fall holiday and a winter holiday.
Or there's a religious part.
Or there's a religious part of it, yeah. So I'm I don't know if other planets would have seasons like we do, or if they have 8 seasons or only 2 seasons, or I would have no idea. I wouldn't know. But it would be so interesting to know.
Yeah, I want to know if they have a Halloween and they dress up like humans.
That would be great. It's little human masks.
Or if they have certain traditions.
Just President Nixon.
Where it's in honor of probing people.
Ooh.
So they have fake humans around and maybe they turn them over the fire.
What if, every Halloween, instead of Halloween, it's National Probing Day, and the kids dress up like humans, and the adults chase them around with
and they
probing
joke
sticks.
Around.
Yeah, and they joke around about it like it's a huge fucking joke. Mm-hmm. That would be fantastic.
Why not? And they probably think it's so funny.
They probably would, in all honesty. Dumb humans.
Yeah.
They probably think of us like we think of cows.
How sad. I don't think cows are dumb.
Well, no, I don't think cows are dumb, but I mean, in a sense of, we We do whatever we want to them. They're just some cows.
Well, yeah. So that's a good, it's a good analogy because people say it's so wrong, like that they abduct us or that they've done this and they've done that, and I just feel like that's just your point of view. I get it. You feel like your privacy was violated, but it's like, what do we do with things like sharks?
What's the same thing? It's like, yeah, we're in a fishbowl and we're the fish that they're fucking with.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
It's like, and we feel like there's no harm, and sometimes it's like to help them. You know, like
you're putting tags on them and you're monitoring
like they're going
them.
out. So a certain species is going, you know, it's going extinct, and they're trying to like preserve their habitat and all that kind of shit. They tag them, they make sure things are okay.
It's the exact same thing, but on a larger scale. Like we're doing it to, you know, animals and trees and trying to figure out things about stuff. And why couldn't they be doing that exact same thing to us? We're ripping whales out of their, you know, natural habitat and weighing them and poking at them and, you know,
and
figuring out
them in smaller pools and then making them jump around for millions of people,
and then throwing them back out in there and not explaining to them because we have no way of explaining to them what it is. Exactly.
So yeah, and it's just the same thing like with zoos. We capture all these things, we throw them in a zoo. What if they're zoos and aliens and there's like human?
That was on a really great episode of the Orville.
Like the different species.
Yeah.
And then it would put like
they had that in the
where
Orville.
they come from, like where they originate to.
And they're in their they build a simulated natural habitat for them.
The common religions for that species.
And you get to see them like interact. And you're like, oh, look at the human. Eating popcorn. Yeah. Like, oh, they're so cute.
You never know.
Why are their ears so small?
See, and we think that's so crazy, but realistically, I mean, why not?
It's totally true.
If you think about it.
If you do. It's the same exact thing, just on a different scale.
Exactly, and we're just like, it's just an animal. They could say the same thing. It's just
and then what if it's someone doing it to them, too? On levels, on levels, on levels.
There has to be. It's the grand experiment.
Like, what if we're just aliens' pets? And then those aliens have their own thing, that they're the pets of someone else.
I think that's what happens. There can't be, like, one master. I mean, there could be a master race, but I think it's just that there's so many layers that this comes from.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? Like, they can't... There's no way that they have everything figured out. And when we say aliens, we say they, almost like if it's one group. It's like there's so many. And we're just saying aliens, throwing it out there, but it's like there's just so many different.
There's so many of them, and we just say it like that because, you know, we're just talking anyone other than us.
Pretty much.
Anyone other than us is they.
So the possibilities are endless, what it could really be like.
What do you think aliens call aliens? Like, to an alien, we're alien. Right. So what do you think they call us?
Ooh, insurgents.
Infidels?
I like that. Terrorists. They try to blow up their own planet. So they are a group of extremists.
So I was watching this video today. There is that theory that, like, so maybe the reason that, you know, extraterrestrial beings hasn't really contacted us is because they see us as this, like, hostile, like...
Absolutely.
You know, ruining our environment, that, like, there's no point in letting us leave our planet or know anything else. Yeah, because we're just rambunctious, like, you know, 2-year-olds running around and lighting everything on fire.
With guns.
And they're like, we can't let them into the universe. They're so self-destructive that they would just ruin everything. They're so hostile.
Absolutely. Could you imagine if everyone in a different country had their own means of leaving the earth? Where are they going?
It'd be a shit show.
What are they doing?
It'd be a shit show. Running around lighting everything on fire, pissing on everything.
That would just be insane.
That's exactly. I think that what it is, honestly, it's definitely the mindset. Like, you have to think about it in the way of, like, you know, the reason we don't have, you know, one world leader is because it would become this totalitarian state, and that's probably what's out there in a universe because they're a lot more fucking peaceful than we are. Like, they're probably able to have this one universal government where we couldn't. Our governments are so greedy and our people are such a greedy people that, you know, if there was shit out there, the first thing all these countries would do is try to go out to planets and claim them. Like, this is mine, this is mine. Like, they're that's so greedy.
This is mine. That could also be half the reason, though. Maybe on other planets and other civilizations, I think that it is most likely more common that they know there's other life forms, other planets.
I would think so.
And over here, we're like, we know knowledge is power, so we're like, don't tell anybody anything.
Basically, we're like a planet full of puppies that aren't house trained. That's what aliens see us as.
Everything always comes down to puppies.
Puppies and planets, I know.
Planet of puppies.
Yeah.
But we're like out of control. We're not even like cute.
No. And I think that if we were to be released on a universal scale, we would destroy so much stuff.
Shit up.
We would destroy so much stuff.
Yeah, and that's why, like, well, I wouldn't say that they haven't contacted us, but I think that there's a big reason why
why everything's so secret. Yeah.
There's a reason why they've been surveilling.
Well, because I think that, if you tell the whole universe that there's more out there in space, what are they going to want to do?
Religions are
go out. Well, religions will crumble, but then everyone will want to go out there and see it and fuck with shit. And maybe that's not what they want. They're like, you guys just need to stay here until you figure it out.
I also think that they don't want to come down here because then we'll worship them. And
like
we'll
gods?
Think that they're gods. I think that's happened a few times, and it's
absolutely.
like we just don't get it.
Absolutely. You can see that definitely back in the times within the way back machine and BC and stuff like that. You see these cave paintings and stuff, and these they have these crazy pictures of these people who look like astronauts, you know what I mean, like aliens.
Oh, for sure. And you're like, that's
exactly what it is. Yeah. Are you see these things where it's like flaming carriages with wings on it because that's their representation of what a UFO was, because they didn't all they knew was fire and wings. They didn't understand anything outside of that, and I think that that's definitely
it's like the dragon. But it's just...
I love the dragon.
So that's... Yeah, so I think that there's that reason. It's not wanting to come down and be worshipped. And it's also that we're so hostile and we can be unpredictable to the point where who knows if they try to land, if we're going to attack. I hate when people are like, well... if aliens exist, then how come they haven't landed here? And it's
honestly,
like, are you for sure? What happens if Russia right now were to fly and land here? How would we react as Americans?
We'd attack. Well,
it would be insane.
That's just like the Battle of LA when they saw one and everyone immediately attacked it.
Batshit crazy and just shooting at it.
Yeah. And you wonder why they don't come down here. Yeah, also, I really think that if they were this, like, malevolent, like, entity, they would have already wiped us all out, in all honesty.
That's another thing that people really need to understand, is it's not that much of a threat. And I get it. People are like...
It could be, don't get me wrong.
Us,
but if they wanted to murder us all and just obliviate us, they would have done it by now.
If they just want the planet, they could have done that.
Done it by now. Absolutely.
Would have been toast.
No. But I don't...
Slaves.
I don't think the universe thinks in that way. I don't think that they have things. I couldn't imagine something as, like the society of the universe and all these different planets coming together, finding a planet being like, ooh, let's enslave them. I just think there's so much more of a higher consciousness than we are, which I think is why they'll never come down here anytime soon to, get us all, because we don't think that same way as they do. I think we're moving in that direction, but I think it's a long time away. Yeah, it's not in our lifetime. It's not in our lifetime.
It could be.
I don't think so. Maybe in our next life.
We could hop on the timeline and
go in and out, space-time fabric.
We're going to Earth 2.
We're going to Earth 2.0.
I love those when they say there's stickers. There's no planet B.
But there is.
To make people, just so they know.
But there is.
Stop fucking it up. There's no planet B.
So fucking it up.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that was our podcast for the night, for the week.
It was all over the place, but Halloween, aliens, psychics,
conspiracies.
This is how aliens invented Halloween.
Look out for those false flags, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, next episode. Next episode will be about false flags for sure.
Definitely. Why don't you guys hit us up on Instagram at that one time I was abducted, or send us an email at that one time I was abducted @gmail.com. And any closing words, Miss Bree? What's your final thoughts? What's your closing argument?
My closing argument is that Halloween is great. Let's make it fun. Let's keep it alive. My concern is that it's not as appreciated anymore. Kids aren't trick-or-treating as much because fear is implanted into everyone. So anyway, let's keep Halloween alive. Let's believe that aliens are benevolent, and keep the peace, spread the peace, know you're psychic, spread your abilities.
All right, guys, and on that note, we'll see you next week.